On the second to last play in overtime, Bo fractured a bone in his right ankle to put him out for the rest of the season.
Quarterback Bo Nix has officially fractured his right ankle, and that means he's done for the rest of the playoffs. No miracle comeback, no tape job and play through it moment, nothing. The medical staff confirmed the break minutes after the game, shutting down any hope of him returning. Nix is built tough and has fought through injuries before, but this one isn't something a quarterback can just shake off. The road back starts with surgery, and the next challenge will be a monster. Still, if there's anyone built to walk that path, it's him. The Denver Broncos had just taken down the Buffalo Bills in an overtime thriller to advance to their first AFC Championship appearance in a decade.
Quarterback Bo Nix fractured his right ankle and will be out for the remainder of the playoffs.
He's a tough cookie and will rise up for the next challenge.
Mile High Stadium was shaking, the fan base was losing its mind, and the players were celebrating like they'd just lifted a trophy. This should have been the happiest moment of the entire season. But then the camera panned to Sean Payton and everything changed. The excitement on his face disappeared instantly. His expression told the truth before he even opened his mouth. Then he said the three words that froze the entire locker room: not good news. Those three words hit harder than a blindside sack. Bo Nix, the quarterback who just led Denver on one of the coldest, most surgical game-winning drives of the season, the dude who put up 279 yards and 3 touchdowns when the Broncos needed him the most. The same player who holds the NFL record for most wins by a quarterback in their first 2 seasons, was done, injured, finished for the year. The entire stadium went from roaring to silent in minutes, and it felt like the air got sucked out of the building. The announcement shook the entire league because Denver wasn't just winning games, they were building a movement behind Nix. Analysts had been comparing his poise to early career Russell Wilson, his field vision to Drew Brees, and his leadership to some of the greatest young quarterbacks of this era. Losing him now wasn't just a setback, it was a complete plot twist. And here's where the story turns into something even crazier. With Nix out, the Broncos are about to try something only a handful of NFL teams have ever pulled off, making a deep postseason run with a backup quarterback who hasn't been battle-tested under this kind of pressure. The last time a team succeeded in a situation like this, it turned into one of the most legendary underdog runs the league had ever witnessed, the kind of story NFL film still replays years later. Before diving into what Denver has planned next, it's important to understand what Bo Nix meant to this franchise, because only then does the heartbreak of this moment truly make sense. 2 years ago, Bo Nix wasn't viewed as a safe pick or a polished franchise savior. He was labeled one of the biggest question marks in the entire 2024 NFL draft. Scouts said he was too old for a rookie quarterback. They pointed out he'd already started an NCAA record 61 games between Auburn and Oregon, meaning he had the kind of mileage most teams worry about. And even though he put up video game numbers at Oregon, including a wild 77.4% completion percentage that shattered the NCAA single-season record, critics swore he was just a product of the system. They said he wouldn't translate. They said he didn't have the arm juice, the frame, or the superstar upside to survive Sundays. They said he was nothing special in the NFL world, but the Denver Broncos didn't buy any of that. Sean Payton looked at Nix and saw a completely different picture. To him, Bo wasn't a question mark. He was a blueprint. Payton saw something in Nix that reminded him of another quarterback he once gambled on when everyone else doubted him, a guy named Drew Brees, and when Sean Payton makes that kind of comparison, it's not cheap hype, it's a statement with weight behind it. Payton and Brees built one of the most dangerous coach-QB partnerships in league history. A Super Bowl, record-breaking offenses, iconic playoff moments. Their resumes speak for themselves. Only Bill Belichick and Tom Brady have more combined wins than Payton and Brees did together in New Orleans. So when Payton looked at Bo Nix and said he saw echoes of that same efficiency, that same calmness under fire, that same late-game ice, the Broncos front office took it seriously. That's why Denver used the 12th overall pick to bring him in and hand him the keys. And what happened next silenced every critic who ever looked sideways at him. In his rookie season, Bo Nix didn't just play well, he detonated every expectation. He set Denver franchise rookie records for passing touchdowns with 29, completions with 376, and passing yards with 3,775. And as sources claim, inside the organization, coaches were saying he completely rewired the offense. They went from a team searching for an identity to one that finally had its leader, precise, composed, and deadly in big moments. Nix didn't come into the league with hype. He built his own. Every week, every comeback, every clutch throw, he proved he wasn't just some system quarterback from the Pac-12. He was the real deal, a quarterback who could carry a franchise, rewrite expectations, and flip a city's football culture on its head. He led Denver back to the playoffs for the first time since winning Super Bowl 50 in 2015, snapping what had become the longest post-Super Bowl playoff drought in NFL history. And the wild part, in his second season, Bo Nix leveled up again. He threw for 3,931 yards, 25 touchdowns, and carried the Broncos to a 14-3 record, tying a franchise best while securing the #1 seed in the AFC for the first time in a decade. But the most jaw-dropping stat of the entire season wasn't the yards or the touchdowns. It was the cold-blooded clutch factor. Bo Nix delivered 8 game-winning drives, the most by any quarterback 25 or younger in league history. Not Mahomes, not Burrow, not Herbert, Bo Nix. This Broncos team went 11-2 in one-score games because when everything tightened up and the moment demanded ice in the veins, Nix turned into a closer. He wasn't just playing quarterback, he was conducting fourth-quarter chaos like a maestro, and that same energy showed up again against the Buffalo Bills in the biggest moment of his career. With 55 seconds left, down 27-23, Nix walked onto the field looking like someone who knew exactly how this story was supposed to end. Then he dropped a dime to Marvin Mims Jr., a perfect go-ahead touchdown that stunned the entire stadium and sent Broncos fans into orbit. But the madness didn't stop there, because when overtime rolled around and the score was still deadlocked, Nix dragged the Broncos 75 yards in 6 plays to set up the game-winning field goal, clutch after clutch after clutch. But hidden inside that legendary drive was the moment that changed the entire playoff picture, and almost nobody noticed it when it happened. According to Sean Payton, the injury occurred on a designed quarterback keeper near the 36-yard line, and if you go back and rewatch the play, everything suddenly makes sense. Nix took the snap, tucked the ball, and sprinted toward the middle of the field to set up a cleaner angle for the kick. But as he cut inside, a defender shoved him just enough to twist his lower body awkwardly. When Nix got up, he didn't complain, he didn't signal for help, he didn't even look toward the sideline. He just jogged back to the huddle with that same calm, stone-faced demeanor he always has in crunch time. But if you freeze the frame, you can literally see the discomfort in his right leg. And that's the wild part. The entire city was celebrating. The team was mobbing him after the win, and the whole time he was walking on a fractured ankle without letting anyone know. That's toughness, that's grit. And that's why losing him hurts this franchise so badly. He glanced down briefly at his ankle, then lined up for the next play like nothing had happened. That next snap turned out to be massive. It was the play where Tre'Davious White committed the pass interference penalty that shoved Denver deep into easy field goal range. Bo Nix took the final snap, calmly knelt the ball, and watched Will Lutz drill the game winner. Not the coaches, not his teammates, not the millions watching at home had any idea that Bo Nix had just finished the biggest game of his career on a fractured ankle. After the game, Nix handled interviews the same way he handled pressure all season. Smiling, laughing, celebrating with teammates. No limp, no excuses, no signs of pain. But eventually the medical staff took a closer look, and that's when everything changed. Imaging revealed something far more serious than soreness. Sean Payton returned to the podium and delivered the news himself, knowing exactly how heavy it was. "Not good news," Payton said. On the second-to-last play in overtime, Bo Nix fractured a bone in his right ankle and would be out for the remainder of the season. Payton later explained he wanted to wait until Monday to tell the team. He wanted players to enjoy the win before dropping a gut punch, but he knew that was unrealistic. Something this big was never staying quiet. So instead, the truth came out immediately, and the celebration turned into shock. When Nix was told the diagnosis, he casually mentioned he had broken the same ankle before, once in high school and once at Auburn. Payton tried to lighten the moment with a joke, saying that if he had known that, the Broncos might not have drafted him. Then the tone shifted, serious again, focused again. "He's a tough cookie," Payton said, "and this team has lost key players all year and will rise up for the next challenge." The weight of that statement hits harder with context. Denver had not reached an AFC championship game since Super Bowl 50, a full decade ago. Peyton Manning was the quarterback then. Von Miller was still terrorizing offenses. Since that moment, the franchise wandered through quarterback purgatory. Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, Russell Wilson. One after another, none able to lift Denver back where it belonged. Bo Nix was different. He proved it. And now, with the AFC Championship game scheduled at home next Sunday, he will be watching from the sideline in a cast. The impact was immediate. Before the injury, Denver sat at plus 325 to win the Super Bowl. After Peyton's announcement, those odds plummeted to plus 900. Vegas didn't hesitate. The margin for error was gone. Now the Broncos turn to Jarrett Stidham, a professional backup, reliable, experienced, but reality matters. 4 career starts, 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, a passer rating under 80, 1 snap all season, a kneel down months ago. That's the quarterback stepping into the AFC Championship spotlight. To his credit, Stidham has flashed before. In 2022 with Las Vegas, Josh McDaniels benched Derek Carr and gave Stidham a chance. Against San Francisco, he responded with 365 yards and 3 touchdowns. It was impressive. But lightning moments don't erase the scale of what Denver now faces. The Broncos aren't just replacing a quarterback, they're replacing belief. But he also threw 2 interceptions in that game, and the Raiders lost in overtime. And then in Week 18 against the Chiefs, he finished with 219 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and another loss. So here's the full resume in plain terms. 4 career starts, a 1-3 record, and the last time he threw a meaningful pass before this season was at the end of 2023, when the Broncos benched Russell Wilson and gave Stidham the final 2 games. In those 2 outings, he went 40 of 66 for 496 yards with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Solid work, but nothing that would make anyone call him a franchise savior. Just good enough to survive, but not nearly enough to build a playoff identity around. And now he's being asked to do something almost no quarterback in NFL history has ever pulled off. This is where the story turns wild, because what Denver is attempting with Jarrett Stidham isn't impossible. It's just insanely rare. Everyone remembers Nick Foles. In 2017, Carson Wentz tore his ACL in Week 14, and Foles took over like he'd been waiting his entire life for that moment. He beat the Falcons, he demolished the Vikings, then he stared down Tom Brady in a shootout and won the Super Bowl. He even ran the Philly special, turning himself into a legend for eternity. But Foles had experience. He had 39 starts before that run. He was a Pro Bowler. He threw 7 touchdowns in a single game once. He was battle-tested. The better comparison for Stidham is Jeff Hostetler. Back in 1990, Phil Simms went down in Week 15 with a broken foot. Hostetler stepped in with almost no resume. 2 career starts in 7 years, 93 total pass attempts since 1984. Nobody believed in him. Analysts said the Giants were finished. Fans braced for a collapse, but instead, Hostetler turned into a certified problem for the rest of the league. He won the last 2 regular season games. Then he took down the Bears in the divisional round. Then he upset the 49ers in the NFC Championship. And then he beat the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. The man went 20 of 32 for 222 yards, 1 touchdown, and no picks under the brightest lights possible. So here's the question. Can it happen again? Can Jarrett Stidham become the next Jeff Hostetler? Can he shock the world and drag the Denver Broncos to a Super Bowl? Honestly, based on the kind of chaos the NFL has delivered this postseason, it wouldn't be the craziest twist. But make no mistake, the odds are stacked sky high against Denver. Still, this roster isn't rolling into the AFC Championship empty-handed. Denver still has an elite defense. Nick Bonito just steamrolled the Buffalo Bills with 2 strip sacks on Josh Allen. Pat Surtain II remains one of the best corners on the planet. This defense can absolutely turn a playoff game into a gritty, low-scoring fistfight. And Sean Payton is still Sean Payton, one of the most dangerous offensive minds in the league. He'll protect Stidham, rely on the run game, lean into timing concepts, and manufacture opportunities for Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims Jr., Jaleel McLaughlin, and the rest of the offense. When Payton was asked about Stidham's readiness, he didn't hesitate. He's ready, and will be ready for the next challenge. Then he said something else that raised eyebrows everywhere. I feel like I've got a 2 that's capable of starting for a handful of teams. Maybe that's coach speak, maybe that's confidence, or maybe he truly believes Stidham is about to shock the entire league. Either way, the stage is set, the stakes are enormous, and Denver is walking straight into the biggest underdog moment of the last decade.